Hi there, my name is Jacob and welcome to another b.Board tutorial. Today, I thought we could take a look at how to create a new project on code.brilliantlabs.ca. So, if you haven't done so already, in your browser, I'm using Google Chrome, navigate over to code.brilliantlabs.ca. Once your web page loads, you'll see a list of previous projects that you may have made in the past, along with an option to create a new project. Let's click on the New Project button. Alright, we see a few things here, so let's take a moment and go through them. The first is a blank space to type your project name. It is important to give your project a name that will make it easy to find later. Right now, you may not have any projects at all, so you may be tempted to just call it project or thingamajig or that thing. But what happens when you have a whole pile of projects and you want to find one in particular? So spend a minute and think about what your project is going to be called. Today, since we're really only creating a project, I'm just going to call it Project Tutorial. The next item to look at are the two green buttons on the bottom of the screen that say Create Microbit version 1 and Create Microbit version 2. As you may have noticed, in order to use your b.Boards, you need to insert a microbit. The microbit comes in two different versions. Version 1, that was released by the BBC in 2016, and the newer version 2, which was introduced in 2020. It's important to pick the version that you have in the IDE, or it won't be able to create code properly for your project. If you don't know which microbit version you have, we have a link here that you select that'll bring you to a website to show you the difference between the two. The way that I like to tell the difference, if I have a V1 or a V2 microbit, is to look at the bottom. On the V2, you will notice that the bottom edge connector is bumpy. This makes it easier to connect alligator pins to the bottom of the microbit. In V1, there are no bumps. It is just straight across. That is the easy way to identify the difference between V1 and V2 of your microbit. There are loads of other ways because the V2 of the microbit does have some additional features, but this one I find is the easiest. Alright, now that we know which microbit version that we were using, I'm going to use V1 for this example. We will click on Create Microbit V1 for our project, and there we are. The last thing that we need to pay attention to are the bold red letters at the top of this dialog box. This reminds a user to check the firmware version of their b.Board that they are using. So the firmware is a special code that we at Brilliant Labs write to tell your b.Board how to talk to the microbit and control all of the cool features the b.Board can do. From time to time, we come up with new features in the IDE, and they require new firmware on the b.Board. We've got a whole video on how to update this firmware, so if you haven't done so already, check it out. Alright, we're finally ready. We've got our project named, we know what version of the microbit we are using, and we know to check back frequently for new firmware updates. Click on the button of the version of microbit that you're using. For me, that's V1. And here we are. We are into our very first project. What will you create with your b.Board? Now, get out there. Our next video is on the Hello World. You can watch that to get an idea of maybe what your first code should be. Remember, stay brilliant.